Alright, I'm walking out of the gym now. I decided that maybe I should do a little bit of long form talking while I have time. I like to fill up my time with all kinds of things productive. I don't like any downtime. And so even a walk to my pickup is a good time to maybe put some things down. So I took a couple notes in case I forget things. I've had a stressful day this morning. I heard someone say that. I don't know if it was a joke or a slip, but it's going to be one of my new favorite sayings. You know, when you just feel like you're having a bad day. And I don't know that I felt like I was having a bad day, but you know, those days when you need to sit down and reset a little bit. I'm going to stand here because it's cold out there. And as soon as I start my pickup, it'll connect to my phone and it'll screw everything up. So I'll stand here at the doors of Planet Fitness. So one, I was thinking about that story about Babel, the Tower of Babel. I think there's a parable in there. Because what happened was God decided to destroy Babel. Is that the Babylonians or you know, I'm a history guy, but now I'm like, is Babel and Babel? I think Babylonia in Babel is just the Tower of Babel. I think that's what it is. Pretty sure. I remember I was only like an hour from there when I was in Iraq. From wherever all that was. I was near a lot of cool stuff in Iraq. Me and all the people I went overseas with. Not cool, but like stuff from the Bible, you know. I listen to podcasts, and recent themes I've been hearing on one of my favorite ones is, you know, what's real in the Bible. What's kind of like, I guess the basic story is what's real and what's fiction. And maybe we do that in life. We interpret, you know, the Bible now in a way that is like it's a fiction maybe. And the story of Babel, basically, all the boys around town were kind of like keeping up with the Joneses. You know, where they got a nice house, they got this, they got that. You know, now that I've traveled all over the world and lived in different places, I've seen different things where that happens. One of the interesting ones when I was still with my ex-wife and kids was in the small town. You know, you get in some towns, you get golf carts, things like that. Well, in that little small town, everybody had a side-by-side. Nobody went wild and did like a in-town race or anything, but just utility vehicles, you know. And I'd been in towns where there was golf carts and stuff. And it's just, I get it. It's a way to get around. It's just in and out, maybe save on gas, but they're also just fun because you're out, you know, it's nice out. So, right, I need to maybe not stand in front of the door where people are going, but where you can just get out in the air, you know, in one of those little utility vehicles or a golf cart, just like people that go golfing. That's, you know, what they get to do. And that's what, you know, in life, that's what I'm doing now, is I'm enjoying nature. I've never been more free than I am right now, you know. And I guess I should get back to Babel, but I'm realizing things like we focus on so much on what we want, and I'm going to get to that, to the what I want part here in this little video. I'll come back to that. What I want versus, you know, what he wants. My time versus his time. Being open-minded is where I want to start, right after the Tower of Babel. I was just visiting with somebody while getting a massage in a massage chair. Big fella from the south, from Tennessee here. I was really looking forward to getting back to Texas. I haven't even left Tennessee yet, and I already miss it. So I might see and do whatever I can to stay in this area as long as possible. I was hoping to get more things done by now, as far as my plans and the mission that I'm working on. And none of it's happening here. So I guess my thoughts were I should just move on and go find the right place for me. Where's the right place for Ryan right now? I'm gonna call this series Becoming Mide, because I get overwhelmed by this other character inside me. To me, it's like a WWE character, and I feel like I need to let people know. And I identify with Claire Danes in she played a CIA gal in I just watched it. It's on Netflix. I'm watching the new one that she's doing, the Beast in Me. The one before that, whatever. Anyways, where she goes into her psycho mode, where she gets off her pills or whatever. I identify with that because I've lived it. I know a little bit more about what it means in the bigger context of life and what it means for me and people like me that have the same issues. And we all have some psych issues. Otherwise, half of the country wouldn't be on psych meds, right? Which brings me back to the Tower of Babel. Why does psych meds in the Tower of Babel make me think of that? I don't know. So, all the boys around town were building the best towers, which are basically ziggurats, temples, places where they could go pray, right? To where they were supposed to go connect with God. Because that's a ziggurat. You see them in pictures in the Middle East, Mesopotamia, things like that. To me, it always reminded me of my local courthouse, because it was about that tall, about 3 stories tall. I grew up in a small town in South Dakota, and a ziggurat was about that tall, I would say. And you could go up to the top of it, and you thought, well, I don't get it. It's 3 stories tall. We have skyscrapers today, And so why would God destroy a civilization for building a tower that's no bigger than the courthouse in my town? What's the story there? Well, so I got to thinking about this after I was visiting with this huge fellow who was right over there, big old boy. He said he was 68, and he looks like he should be in the WWE. I won't throw my camera on him. You'll just have to trust me. Picture that in your mind. And I made some comments to him at the end, because I was telling him how much I love Tennessee and Texas and the South. That's not what this episode of Becoming Mide is about. That'll be another episode. I just love the South. And even though they say the Confederacy, well, in the Confederacy, each state was kind of its own little nation within the nation, which was a confederacy, which is kind of what we think we run on as state governments and national government. I would say that we don't. But we should. So that's where I identify with the South as well. But anyways, just the people down here are wonderful. And what I like to tell people, and it's the truth, everywhere I go I meet good people, but especially the South. These people down here are kind of like the people that I think we all want to be. They're kind. Do they have a dark history? Yep. But so does everywhere. So I'm focusing to look on the positive today. So I won't get into that. But I'm going to talk about Babel still, but I want to talk about the positive to take away from the story. So they were building these ziggurats, these temples, these places of worship, where the idea was to get off the ground, to get closer to God. That's a good idea. I was recently focusing on Luke 17 the most, where Christ, instructed the disciples and people, humanity, that the church is within you. That's what he told them. The church is within you. And it's kind of like duality. As I'm learning more about myself, and we all have a little bit of duality, a little bit of dark, a little bit of light. God's all light. Although there's some dark in there, but it's all for a lesson. I won't get into that right now either, but I was thinking about that too. If anybody watches these, you can always throw some notes in the comments for me to turn back around, but nobody's watching these at the moment. I guess I was listening to Kevin Owens, and he was talking about how someone told him he needed to start posting on X every day. He's a WWE wrestler who I've only seen maybe 1 or 2 matches of. I'm not to open-mindedness yet. So let's get back to the Tower of Babel. Kids, I feel like I need to learn how to teach a classroom again. Get a lesson plan and notes in front of me so I can keep myself on track. And because I made myself notes, but if I go to them, I'll lose my camera. Oh God, that massage chair messed up my back. If I walk out the door, maybe I'll stop meandering so much. So it'll make me get to the point. So if you followed along, great. I'm at 11 minutes and 22 seconds. 3s, that's good. That's God saying, get out the door. Anyways, so they built these temples to be on the surface, closer to God, but it became more about keeping up with the Joneses. How can my shit be better than his shit? His stuff is shit. My shit is stuff, It was all a big dick contest. Who can build the biggest tower? And it was technology focused, because they were building these things. It's ancient technology, but technology nonetheless. Ancient technology, building up ziggurats, building these temples up, but their focus became more on the technology and on one-upping each other, and they lost their focus on God. That's the moral of the story there, and that's what this fellow and I were talking about while we were getting our massages. They put their focus in other places. And it's not just about God's hubris, or like, oh, you just need to think about God first. There's a lot more to it than that. It's all the Christian principles and values and beliefs. All those things are what I'm talking about too. It's actually pretty nice out, so I don't need to. I'll get in my pickup, but maybe I won't start it yet. Me and the white ride. That's kind of funny. Me and the white ride. I like that. I'm gonna start calling. I used to name my vehicles. Do you do that? My first car was named Bert, and it was white too. I haven't always had white vehicles, but my first one was white. It was a little Toyota Corolla, 1987, and I got it up to 135 miles an hour one day. That's way too fast. God said no. It almost fell apart. All right, so think on that. If you have questions, I will do my best to answer them. And opening up, being open-minded. Well, what I've found is that I've been doing Planet Fitnesses since I started my travels and left South Dakota to come to the South. And up there, they're mostly about other brands. And I'm not going to name those ones. I'll just say Planet Fitness in this video. The other ones had good things about them, and I was always like, ugh, Planet Fitness, And we get like that in life about a lot of things. Ugh, we get very, and me, when I say we, I mean me. I get very judgy, and I was like, oh, that's the other brand, because I've got my brand, and my brand is this brand, and Planet Fitness can't be nearly as good as my brand, And then there's this little thing, and that little thing, a little anchor points for bands. A simple thing. It's just little carabiners, but you can hook your bands into them. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a neat idea. And I didn't think much more of it until I didn't have it again. And Planet Fitnesses, they aren't uniform. They're independently owned, I believe, a chain. So you can go in and they can customize, do whatever they want, or whatever. However, maybe it's their management. I don't know. Anyways, and then I went to somewhere where there wasn't one, and I was like, oh, I wish I had that one again. And then I've been in Tennessee. I've been going to 3 different ones in the area where I've been staying. Lebanon, not Lebanon, Lebanon. It's kind of like not Pierre, South Dakota, Pierre, South Dakota. Okay, there, you learned something if you made it this far, which I don't have high hopes of. But being open-minded, I've found that, the massage chairs in my last place, oh, this was the best thing ever. Well, what I've realized now is if I just kept an open mind or not been so judgy, I wouldn't have that dragging feeling that makes you, that kind of drags you down. The whole thing that comes with being judgy or comes with keeping up with the Joneses. You have everything in the world, but you look at them and they have a little bit more. They have that thing that you want now too. And that's not a good feeling. That's not very God-centered. And I realized this, some of these things, while listening to 2 wrestlers I haven't seen wrestle very much, because I was a major wrestling fan as a kid. And it was one of the central themes in my life, actually, at one point. But when it turned to other things and took its focus off from wrestling, and it was tits and ass at the time. It was back in the early 2000s. Sable was big at the time. And God bless all you people back then. You're just doing your job and doing your best. But that turned me off because I felt like, well, kind of like maybe God felt like they were taken away from the thing about it that I loved. I loved the wrestling aspect. I really loved WCW. I really loved the old Hard Knocks kind of wrestling that looked real. Because people believed it was real. That was the whole point. They wanted you invested. And today they get you invested in a different way. People still want to say, well, it's fake. Well, you'd fucking jump off I won't even go down that road. Those guys are all rolling around in wheelchairs now to entertain us back in the day. When Hulk Hogan died, they said they went to his funeral and all these former heroes were all, barely getting around these days. And I think Hogan went through that himself, having his own 80 back surgeries or something. And you want to say, God, that was a heavy ass leg drop, but he was 6'9" when he started wrestling, and he ended at 6'7" or 6'6.5". He shrunk by 3 inches because he fucked up his back so bad over the years. Anyways, as far as being open-minded, I got a kick out of listening to Cody Rhodes, because I've heard a couple references to Stardust, and he must not like it. He was a character called Stardust in his early part of his career, because he's the son of an American legend, Dusty Rhodes. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. So he had to live, as far from the outside, not knowing Dusty or Cody or their relationship or anything about them other than on the cover, he came out as Stardust, and I thought, oh, he's stealing his dad's name, and I don't know that he came up with that name. He probably didn't, based on what, I don't know, maybe he did, but it was kind of like, you're already his kid. Well, you don't need a nod to his name, I don't think. And I think Braun Breaker proves that. He's getting a major push, major quick. I hope I haven't listened to all the interview I started with him one time. I hope the hubris he portrays on TV is just, portrayal. And I think that it is, most likely, based on what I'm learning about Cody Rhodes, is that I've reclassified my Mount Rushmores. I'm opening up the idea of duality to my own Mount Rushmores of wrestling. I'm going to have my favorite wrestling characters and my favorite wrestlers. And what I'm learning is that Dusty was both a favorite character, and now that I'm learning more about him through his own son, that he's becoming one of my favorite wrestlers too. And what I mean by that is people. They're becoming my favorite people, because I really like what they're doing, opening up the behind the scenes so we can learn more about them and experience. And I like the idea of a hide, or I don't remember how Cody Rhodes put it, but basically, trying to sell us and fake us out on things. So now they have to figure out new ways to fake us out. And I get what he's saying. I don't need to go down that road. But for 20 years, I remember Stardust. And then later on, I come across WWE later in life, and I was like, you know what? I really like this on Netflix. I like the sound. I like everything about it, and I'm getting drawn back in. But I don't like Cody Rhodes. Why the fuck is he the champion? I remember when he was Stardust, and look at that stupid fucking tattoo, And then I hear an interview where he's like, he got the tattoo, and he's like, what the fuck did I do? Because he got this American Nightmare tattoo on his neck that's huge, and I liked that honest reaction that he's like, whoops. But you have to live with it. And we all do that in life. We have big whoops moments, and you have to accept them and move on. So I guess the first takeaway is, for me, I need to be more open-minded. Maybe it's 20 minutes in. I can look at my notes, and if I want to talk more later today, I can. Open-mindedness. Well, I better look.